Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today's Ask MNLCT session. It's such a pleasure to have all of you here today. This is going to be one exciting webinar. And we have some great panelists on board. We have a translation team. We'll do the official introductions. I'm just doing some small talk while people come on board. We have a lot of attendees today. It's going to be a full house, and we're very happy about that. Before I kick off the show, I would like to pay tribute to the land that we're on. And it gives me great honor to acknowledge that the land we are meeting on today, and I'm in the Halton region, and this is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. Now, this is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Anishinaabeg, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Ojibwe, Chippewa peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations. Anyway, and the territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties. It's good for probably a lot of people who don't know the history. I would always advise to go in and read more about the fascinating culture. As for me, as with an open heart, the ancestors of this land have welcomed newcomers for thousands of years. I'm humbled and grateful to be here in the form and spirit. If there's anything to learn from this journey, is that we give love and honor to our Mother Nature, as she has bestowed life and love to all living things, past and present and in the future. So that's my message to you. That's my inspiration that I have from this land. So thank you very much. And without further ado, let's roll on with the show. Today's topic is about education and how that could be beneficial to propel you in the right career direction that we all aspire to all aspire to get the perfect job. We all want a perfect career, but we all know it's challenging. Even though you may have come from your country of origin with a post-secondary degree, it could be a BA in arts, sciences, engineering, doctorates, you can have a master's, regardless, you come here and it's quite challenging. And the question that we are faced with, the main dilemma, I would say, it is a dilemma, is do you go job hunting endlessly, trying to land that perfect job that you had, which we know it's not as easy, or do you go back to school? Do you do a bridging program if it's available in your field, or do you do a certification, or do you go and do a master's, or what have you? So the choices are endless, the options are endless, the questions are even more confusing. The more you ask, the more you seek, or the more you seek, the more you ask. Anyway, all philosophy aside, we today brought together a team of specialists. They're experts in their field. I know they don't like to be very humble, they don't like to be called experts, but from my point of view, they are experts. They've been advising people, they've been inspiring a lot of individuals, even corporate, on a corporate level, groups. So from my point of view, I am keen to hear what they have to say today. On the panel today we have, oh, by the way, we have interpreters as well present. I know we announced that earlier. So if we have any Spanish speakers or Mandarin speakers or Arabic speakers who are not, who need that extra, need to speak in their language or ask any questions, feel free to do so. And we will accommodate your, those answers in that language, and we will translate in English. So this is an English session, but supported by those three languages. I want to introduce our amazing panelists today. They work in the field, of course. Let me start with Michelle Nadon, who is a career strategist. She wears many hats. She's been in the industry and inspired a lot of people, changed lives. Her story is amazing. And, we're looking forward to get her insights today. Um, Kiley Bolton is, good afternoon to you, is from Seneca College, and she heads a graduate program there in Seneca downtown, which again, they have bridging programs. They have, Seneca does, but they have graduate programs, certification, different source. She can tell us more about that. And with her as well is Thana, who Thana Sarif, whose journey is quite interesting, is quite encouraging and inspiring to listen to, because she came from Syria, and she's here today. Her journey has been filled with, I think, ups and downs, but she's come to a point where she's become a major achiever in her field. Today, she's inspiring others. She's working with others, and she's advising people in the who want to seek a brighter future through by taking up courses or other um, other avenues that need to be explored. Um, and of course, last but not least is Nathaly, who is part of our MNLCT's settlement team. She works with a lot of clients who need assistance in education. They ask questions about whether they should seek an education, where did they go to, who did they contact. So she's a great point of contact. She also obviously works in the in immigrant services. So she has a wealth of knowledge. So thank you all for being here. Also, our interpreters today are Ling Ling, who speaks Mandarin, Zahra, who speaks Arabic, and Nathaly also speaks Spanish, so she can help us with the translation. And Zahra and Ling Ling are also part of our settlement team, so they can feel free to also give us their insights. All right, thank you again. So let's get the show rolling. I want to start first of all with you, Nathaly, and I want to ask you. I know we were talking about you see a lot of clients day in, day out, and you do get this question over again: is it worth going for a higher degree? Is it worth going to school for me to land a proper job in Canada? And I'm sure there's a lot of frustration when they ask you that question. You can sense it. Tell us a little bit more about what you advise clients and the situations you're dealing with in that aspect.
Well, thank you for the question, Milos. At Minonai, we always listen to the client, and we always allow the self-determination of the client. So we always start asking them what they want, what they want to do, what are their goals, what they want to achieve. And based on that, we provide advice. We refer to clients to, there are different resources in the community, like based on whatever they want to do. So if they want to work right away, just start, they have a family and they need to have an income to pay their bills. And so we refer them to career specialists, right? Or to employment counselors. But if they want to study, if they want to pursue a career, so it's depending on the career, depending on the specialization, there are resources in the community that we can, information that we can provide. Could be regulated professions, could be non-regulated professions. So it's depending on the kind of profile of the client and their own goal, we tell them. But definitely it's worthy to study, always. It's good to study. It's always good learning something new. And it is worth it to study here in Canada, yes, to continue education, yes, for sure, yes.
So what sort of scenarios are you faced with? What do they really want? Do they want like a quick solution? or are they willing to put in the time, the effort, and it's also, right, the financial aspect.
So would you mean like what's a quick solution if they decide that they want to study right away?
Like, do people want a quick solution? I guess we all want a quick solution, right? We want things just like that to happen for us, but we know you have to invest. So are you find it that people are willing to invest in the time and
In education.
to get to that point? Yeah, I mean, sometimes it might take 4 or 5 years, right, to get to where you want to be today.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, yeah, as you said, like sometimes there is not a quick solution, but you know, for people when they want to, like, I mean, the question is, what's the answer if they tell me that they want to study? What's the first thing that they tell you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, if they say, okay, I want to study, what should I do? Where should I go? So there is a website called OCAS, OCAS. That's for colleges. And there is another website for universities, which is OI universities. That's a place where clients can go, or people who is interested to find a program, to search about different programs in colleges and universities here in Ontario, and they can, you know, see where they can study, and from there they can see the options and start contacting the educational institutions and start the process to study. That's the first step if they want to start studying a program here in Ontario.
Fantastic. No, that's. I know we have. We will be dropping, by the way. Just a quick. Just want to add that if anyone has any questions from our attendees, you can either raise your hand by clicking on that hand icon at the bottom of your screen there, and I can unmute you and call on you, and feel free to take the floor. Or if you want to drop your questions in the Q&A, which I prefer as well, that over the chat. You can also use the chat room, but the Q&A is better. If you don't want to speak, you can also send us your questions, and we'll, in any language, in any of those languages that you see on the screen there. So you can ask questions at any point in time. This is more a discussion, so feel free to join in. Great, and we will be sharing some at the end, some websites, some sources that you can take away, as well as how to, our point of contact. So just stay tuned for more information there. I see. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I just made a mistake. I said that for universities is OI. No, I'm sorry, it's OU info. Is the link that is posted at the chat? Yes. That's the one that that's a mistake. Sorry, I was confused. No, it's OU info. That's the one that is on the chat, in the chat.
Thank you so much. I saw Michelle nodding her head, and I see Stana raise her hand. I'll call on Michelle first. I saw you wanted to make a comment there earlier.
I'm always wanting to comment. It's so funny. Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. It depends on the individual profile. It depends on where you're at in the industry. If you have 5 years experience, if so, you're entry level. If you have 5 to 10, you are mid-management level in Canada. If you are 10 to 15, you are senior management. And if you are 15 to 20 years, you are executive management. So it's really good to have your career in perspective, so that you know so that you can appropriately represent where you're at right now, and also talk about the next level that you want to get to. Now, about the next level, you want to be very judicious. People ask me all the time, should I get an MBA? I say to them, do you want an MBA? Okay, you don't need to have one. And you also don't need to park your past experience at the back door when you enter Canada. Your past experience is just as valid, okay? It's up to you to represent it appropriately. When you go out there and you're looking for additional education, try to source areas of interest that are in support of your functional specialty with your career. So something that's related, like you've got a marketing degree, so you want to take a little subspecialty in public relations, or that type of thing, and make sure that they're relevant to your career. Also, shop around. Canadian prices are very high. There are all kinds of certification programs from very worthwhile institutions available internationally. 3-week programs, $700, boom, you've got your certificate, add it to your resume, and keep your eyes on the prize in terms of job search.
I mean, you make it sound very easy, but it's not that easy. I mean, to get to that point, I mean, there is a lot of research. It can be overwhelming. Like even if you've been here for a while, I'm not just talking about a fresh newcomer, right? There's so many options out there. You know, do I go for a college? Do I go to a university? Who do I speak to? You can't just pick up the phone and talk to, you know, the hotline there. It's like, no, you have to go and speak to the program manager or coordinator of that, you know, because I'm going through that process at the moment, so I know how it feels. With probably thousands of options, how do you start? Who do you go to?
Well, my number one recommendation for anyone's career is to have a mentor. And the mentor that you choose should have a good 10 years experience more than you. So having mentors is really very helpful. If anyone needs mentor referrals through my network, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, because mentors are extremely helpful. Also, career coaches in Canada are very helpful. Recruiters, you're not going to have as much access to, but certainly if you deal with a career coach that's got 10, 15 years experience hiring in Canada, these people can be invaluable. And then last but not least, colleagues who are peers at your level in your network, you can share contacts and help do some research that way.
Right. You know, Tana, I know you had something to say on that, because you work in this field. You work with newcomers who actually take up your programs. You and Kiley both do. So I want to hear your perspective on the matter. What do you?
So absolutely, I would love what Nathaly and Michelle both said. I'll add just a few things. So one, it is fantastic when they know what they want, and you can tell them, hey, go to OCAS or go to OWAC for university or college. One thing on that I want to add is OCAS, which is applying to a college, does not include the over 200 programs that are available in part-time. So this is really a big missed opportunity for a few reasons. So part-time is typically fantastic for newcomers because it is easier to enter. You don't have to enter into a program and take full load of courses that you can't still manage because of English or because of other responsibilities, whether it's children or you are working. So really that's the one thing that is missing in there. So I'd really encourage you, I'm happy to share with you the part-time information. And I encourage you to visit not just the Seneca part-time, visit the other colleges and universities to see what else is in part-time, because part-time offers amazing opportunities, and I'm happy to share that. The other thing is when it becomes really hard is when they come and they don't know what they want. I think that's really the biggest segment that I face is, what do I do? Generally in some other countries, there is, you know, like I know in Syria, you're going to be a doctor, a teacher, pharmacist, or a lawyer. Like it's, you know, you can count them on your fingers. You come here and there is thousands and thousands of opportunities and options. My advice is speak to advisors. So I am the advisor at Seneca College. I'm happy to speak to whoever, but I encourage you to go and speak to advisors. You don't need to, and shop around, as Michelle said. Shopping around is basically doing the research, basically. Doing that research and speaking, and don't commit right away to anything. Listen to what I have to say, listen to what someone in the university UFT has to say, and then do your own research. You don't have to commit right away, but don't take forever to commit. This is really very important, because what I find with newcomers as well is, because there is a vast opportunities here in Canada, then they start they look into something, and then a friend of theirs says, what about this thing? Then boom, they jumped into the next thing. And so they get lost. Being focused and sticking with what you choose after you do your full research is very important. But talk to people. There's a lot of people like myself who are really just there to help. And you know, again, as being a newcomer myself, I mean, more than 27 years ago, I know how it feels.
No, yeah, your story is amazing, and I know you can relate to it. Which when you probably sit and meet with newcomers, you know, they can relate to your story as well. So that makes it, you know, makes, I guess, the process easier for them to grasp. Not the process, the idea of what to do. It's encouraging. Kiley, you know, I mean, I know you're as a director of the Center for Graduate and Professional Studies.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about the various programs that your college has introduced. Now, I know, is it mainly, do you see more newcomers in you know, in your school going through or is it a mix? Who takes these programs? Who invests? You know, who takes up these?
Right, thanks, Miles. So within my department, we have a range of graduate and professional level programming. So that would include certification courses, workshops, micro-credentials, and then full-time and part-time graduate programs. So there's a huge range of offerings. And just going back to your initial question about whether or not it's worth it, I think we would all say yes. I mean, we work in education because we believe in it. And I agree with Michelle Anthony that it is an individualized decision. And wherever possible, when you can have the opportunity for a personalized, customized conversation with an advisor, I would take that opportunity. I think sometimes people feel badly, they don't want to bother somebody, they don't want to reach out because they're not sure exactly what to ask. But one of the things that we're trying to do through our department is to provide that customized, personalized experience. So yes, we have a range of students who take our programming. People who are looking to reskill. So they've been working in a particular career and perhaps they're bored or they want to change, or they're looking for a new opportunity, or potentially someone who's trying to build on the skills that they already have. So there are a range of students that study with us, and like I said, it's a real individualized decision. One of the things that I wanted to mention is that there are a lot of bursaries and scholarships, so financial support that often go unused because people don't know about them. They don't know where to go, how to access them. So that's another reason why speaking to an advisor like the NA, they can help direct you to these bursaries and scholarships. So this money that has been set aside to support people in pursuing further education. So that's one thing. One message, if we can pass a message along through this webinar, is take a look at the financial aid and the financial support that's available, because often you can have an entire course paid for through these bursaries or scholarships.
Yeah, thanks for that. I'm going to come back to that in a while. We have a few questions coming in. One is from Martha. It's in Spanish. Nathaly, can you go ahead and read that, please?
Yes, give me a second. What is it? Martha.
It's
wonderful, thanks. Okay, yes. It says in Spanish, it says, well, in English, being here is a big challenge. We bring with us our own studies, experiences, and a grand need of start working.
right.
So that's a comment. That's not a question.
She follows up with a question, pero donde?
Ah, okay, down. What is all of this? What is all this information? What we do with the knowledge that we are bringing, and where we can start. How para asociar lo que sabemos hacer. Okay, how to find the way to connect what we know with what we can do, like what we know with what the things that we actually can do here in this country.
That's a very good question. So basically, she's saying that, from what I understand, is the knowledge that she's brought with her and the experience, right, and her certifications. How can you? How does that translate into a career path, right? Which is what we're discussing. Michelle?
First place to start is to take any industry, whatever sector you're wanting to work in, whether it's human resources, it's finances, it's health, or it's media. Okay. Each one of those sectors is going to have an overarching association here in Canada. The Canadian Marketing Association, the Canadian Media Producers Association, and those organizations are designed to gather communities and resources together. So I would say that is your first line of defense. And at the local level, individuals should go to their local Chamber of Commerce to get information on local resources and local employment that you can access.
That is quite, you see, it's all about, I guess, it's not going to be handed to you on a silver platter, right? Whatever, however much support you get, whatever, you still need to get up and pursue, right? You gotta work for it in a way. And I know people know this, but it's not easy, right? But at the same time, here we're privileged in Canada compared to, I've been to a lot of places around the world, and I've seen different cultures and different, societies, and it's not the same. I mean, however democratic or open a society is, we are privileged to have so many different options here, and you have them for free, which is like no other. So all you have to do is just get in the, just get out there and network. I know this year was probably very challenging. Networking face to face is very important, and I pray for the day we come back and work in person, because as much as this is great, it's not the same. And I think people need to network again. But despite all these challenges, how do you turn to, to the right source? I think that's the main question that we need to get to today. How do you get to the source? I mean, today we have we have a career coach, strategist. We have counselors. We have professional people in professional individuals in the education sector, and I can easily tap to any one of you three and get different points of views. Am I supposed to come and speak to all of you, or will one of you give me a different answer? What? Because we're getting these questions as we speak. Sana?
So honestly, the short answer, you're going to have to speak to all of us if you really want to find out the right thing for you. Because like, Nathaly offered fantastic advice. Michelle did the same, Kiley as well. But each one, as human, there's no one person that knows it all. So we all know little bit. What I find is very important. The question is not even what job should I do, or what career or program I should study. It is, what is it that I have to offer? Right. If you can answer that question, it's because at the bottom line, it is what you are giving something and getting that job or that program in return. It's about you and your strength. If you can find that out. Now, finding your strength can be sometimes a little tricky. And again, that's where networking, you said the word, Miles, networking. We have a saying in Canada, it says, it's who you know. And who you know doesn't have to be in high positions. It's actually just having that, because what I know a little bit, this one knows a little bit, this one. So when you talk and you get more information, that's where you're making an informed decision. And that's really my advice, is go out and network. If you really very new to Canada, the first thing is obviously speaking to the community centers around you. You're going to be going to link schools. There is employment services. And as Miles, you mentioned, they are all free to you. We live in a country that really value immigrants. And that's why we do have a lot of services. So that's really where you start, and start going then out to educational institutes, colleges. And one thing I really find very, very important, because I've dealt with a lot of newcomers who've been kind of burnt with this, is the private college versus public college. This is really a huge deal. I deal with it all the time, and it breaks my heart when newcomers go to private colleges, they finish, they come out with like $20,000 OSAP debt, and they come out, they can't find a job, and no one recognizes any of the education they have done.
Yeah, we'll talk about the financial bit in a second, but I want to ask you about, you made a very important point about, feeling self-worth, I guess, feeling like you are, when you get a job, or if you're going for a job, or you bring in something to the table, right? I want to ask you, how do you, Kiley, you and I were talking about, and Michelle as well, about the hot careers, the hot jobs out there, industries. I think you both talked about IT. So Kiley, tell us, like, I know I saw in your programs you have a lot of IT related, technical type of jobs. And why is that? Well, is that the in thing at the moment?
So one of our most popular programs that we offer at Seneca Downtown is our cybersecurity program, which is offered in a flexible format. So what that means is you can study full-time or you can study part-time. So part-time means you can take 1 or 2 courses, and that might align better with family responsibilities, work responsibilities. And we know that there are thousands and thousands of cybersecurity jobs that major banks and financial institutions are looking to fill. And so that's where the drive really is to study cybersecurity. I think we've all recognized and realized cell phones and the internet, hacking, and everything that comes from the advance in technology. So that's definitely a really popular program right now, but it's not for everyone. And I would say that going into cybersecurity just because you want to get a job is not the right reason to go into cybersecurity, because it is a demanding program and a demanding profession. It just happens to be one of the ones that's really popular right now.
So that's a very good point. I wanted to lead on, is that you have your passions in life, right? But also you have to be strategic of what to do. And here's the thing. Obviously, there are certain industries now, like healthcare and IT technology, that are quite big, and they're going to be, they're industries to stay, right? But what about the rest? Like, what happens to if you are? I mean, Michelle, you worked, you know about the media. That hasn't been, it hasn't been happy days for a while. Things have changed over the last 10, 15 years. So if someone is passionate about, journalism, they know they're in that kind of sphere where it's quite competitive, it's changed a lot. How do you advise them?
It's real easy to say that our industry has been decimated, and indeed it has on certain levels. On the traditional media side, so we're talking television, radio, and print specifically, yes, they have all transformed within an inch of their lives, and they're almost unrecognizable now. But what people don't really understand is that there is a concomitant number of companies coming to the fore in digital media. And if you think about media, the need for content creation isn't going anywhere fast. It's never been in higher demand internationally. Okay, so content creation is good. Content curation and programming are very important, okay? And every digital outlet that springs to the fore has to have is reporting on their state of the art with their industry. So media is growing just as much on the digital front as it is, or as it's lessened on the traditional front. So I believe there's all kinds of opportunities, but they do rely heavily on both content creation and technology.
Because you advise, you run your program, you advise people on career changes as well, right? You have that other side, the corner, people are employed, but they want, you get to a point in life that you feel, I need to do something different. And how do you deal with that sort of mindset?
Sorry, who's it directed towards? Me?
You, yes, because, yeah.
Okay. I have been a risk taker all of my life. I have not followed any traditional path by any stretch of the imagination. Not in terms of education. My education is sporadic and all over the place. My work experience in media has been production and then business, and now small business owner. I like to transform myself, usually on an annual basis. And I really encourage people, when you get back to that, what we were referencing earlier about having a program that's individualized to you, I encourage absolutely everybody every year on their birthday to write up not so much a career chores list as a career wish list. And take the opportunity to re-examine internally, what do I want this year? This year I'm 35 years old. I've got this behind me. Where would I like to go? Oh no, this year I'm 45 years old. I'm feeling different. So I would say make up a list every year and that is driven by your passions and your want for knowledge, and pursue those. I think that's where everyone's going to have the greatest success and the greatest happiness.
It's interesting you mentioned age, because we have a question that came in earlier about someone who is 55 years old. You said, what opportunities, I guess, can they get at that age, moving forward? Do they go for school back to school, or is it, what would you advise people?
51 is not old. Is it a little older in our marketplace? Yes. But because of all the changes in society, we're not all just recognizing injustices around, gender or racism and whatnot, but we're also starting to see injustices around ageism. And I always encourage everybody, like, seriously, I am 61 years old this year, okay? I'm the happiest I've ever been. I am completely booked professionally until I'm 70. I know exactly what I'm going to do between 70 and 80 with respect to my career. And it's all following my passions, and it's all going to make me money at the end of the day. So I follow my heart with respect to my own self-actualization. And I don't worry so much about what my industry expects of me. I worry about what I expect of me. And then I go out and I do it.
It's focus. You have to be focused. Passion plus focus equals success. We have Sumya, who would like to has a question for us. I'm going to give her the floor. Sumya, good afternoon. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I have masters in social work. I took from India, and when I came yesterday, I celebrated 3rd anniversary in Canada. Like 3 years ago, I went some of my friends suggested you have a social work background, you need to go to do bridging course, but I went Ryerson University, but they demanded CLB 8. That time I did my CLB, but I got 6. And after that, I found one job in a warehouse. Now I am totally depending on that job. But at the same time, I want to do something in my field, my social work profession. Like I have doubt like every college or university demanding CLB 8, or can I go with like now I'm studying in link class also. Now I am confident to open up my mouth. So where I have to go, where I have to study, and at the same time I don't want to leave my job also because I'm totally depending upon that too.
But Soumya, do you know what you want to study?
Yeah, like I have masters, so
In
I
what?
can bridge
Masters in what
masters in
field?
social work. Social
In
work.
social work, right?
Yes, yes.
So you want to continue working in social work? Is that what you're saying? Or you want to change your career?
I don't want to change. I want to continue. But now I'm working. I cannot leave my job. If I'm leaving my job, I don't know how I survive here.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I want to study, or I'm willing to do study, or even entry level job in social work also. I'm ready. But
Yeah, and Nathaly is quite, she's familiar with cases like yours. I want to give her the floor. We haven't heard from her for a while. Go ahead, Nathaly.
Hi, thank you
hi.
for your question. I'm also
Yeah.
social worker.
Oh, thank you.
Social service. So I'm also newcomer, and I know I can relate with you.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask you a question. Have you contacted your regulatory body in Ontario for
Regulatory body.
yeah, there is a regulatory body for social service worker and social workers,
Oh,
because they are different, right? Social service worker and social worker, but there is a regulatory body. I can share the link.
okay.
What I suggest you is, if you want to work in your field, if you want to continue that here in Ontario, you should contact your regulatory body and follow the career path, because there is a career path, with the specific reading programs. Maybe you don't have to do much. Maybe they're going to do the evaluation for you. They're going to see what you have done so far. They will do the educational credential assessment. I mean, you have to do it, but they will to guide you through each steps to follow, to see what you exactly has to do to work as a social service worker or a social worker here in Ontario. So always when I have a client in my office and they belong to a regulated profession as you, that's my advice. That's the best thing that you can do, because people always is receiving advices for everybody. You should go to study. No, you should go and volunteer. But they are like you, they're confused because they don't know exactly the overall picture or what exactly they are doing to achieve their goal. So to have that overall picture, you need to contact. The first step is you need to. I already shared the link already. I gave it to
Yeah.
you. It's called Global Experience Ontario. Is the big organization that manage all the the regulatory professions in Ontario that are not related to health. So if you go to that link, the one that is shared right now in the chat, find your profession. There is a phone number, there is an address, there is an email, and there is also the career path. You can print it and you can see what you can do to achieve your goal. So yeah, I leave it like that. If you want more details, you can come back.
Yeah, I think she can have also. She's open to a one-on-one session, so you can call us, call our center, and ask to speak to any of our social workers, and they'll be more than happy. I want to
Can
give
I
the next.
add one little thing, Miles,
Sure.
on that? That's actually a very fantastic advice. There's a couple of things. Is having your credentials evaluated from back home with WES, which is World Education Services. This really will help. And going to the accrediting body that she mentioned. For English, there are other options, and for you to work and study, there are options. And that's one of the things. So here at Seneca, you can study social service worker while you are working, and you don't, if you have your credentials evaluated with WES, you don't have to do all the courses. You will be exempted from some courses, and you can do your work and your study together.
And she has a
So
master's degree, which is from back home,
exactly,
which
yeah.
complements that. We have Prayun. Thanks for that. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned West. That's very important to get that, get the ball rolling with that, because sometimes it can take a while, right? Doing the formalities. We have Prayun who has a question. Prayun, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Prayun. You can call me Teresa. I come back from Thailand. My original is I'm a registered nurse from Thailand. When I came over here, the job that I can find here, because I have no license in Ontario, I have no license. So I applied the job. Just the first week when I arrived here from Thailand last year, no, in 2019, in Guelph. They call me right away within 5 minutes to work. But it's not a nurse. I work as a PSW, but they put me higher a little bit at the retirement residence. All right, something right. They call me the UCP. UCP, you know that? I don't know, someone don't know a word, even the doctor, the nurses. Then they ask me when I call for emergency for my residence, what's your position? Are you a nurse? I said, no, I'm a UCP. UCP, what is UCP? That's, I have to tell them. UCP is unregulated care provider. It means that I have no license, but I do everything as a nurse do. I in charge.
Sorry, Prayun, I don't mean to cut you off. Sorry, Prayun.
Okay.
What is your question? Because we're running out of time.
Okay, sorry. May I give the sorry to wrong that? What can I do to get my license as a nurse in Ontario to work as a nurse with the fair payment and the fair treatment? That is my question.
So I feel, thank you so much, Prayun. Your question is a little bit more specific to this group, but we definitely have the resources to help you answer that question. So what I suggest, because it's going to take longer, I think it's best to work. We can call you, or you can call our office and speak to Nathaly or any one of our social workers, and we can give you a comprehensive kind of, especially when it comes to nursing. Yes, Nathaly?
Very quickly, Prayun, because I know you need this answer, because I know you want this. That's why you came to this webinar. So I'm going to give you the answer very quickly. Just go to the chat. Just go to the chat. There is a link that is called Health Force of Ontario.
Yep.
Okay. HFO. And then just find your profession, which is nurse, right? You said nurse, and just follow what is there. All the information is there, okay? It's called Health Force of Ontario. Look for your profession and follow whatever it says. And there is the path, the career path for your profession.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, and feel free to call us, Prayun, anytime. Because sometimes when you sit and speak to someone, it's easier to navigate the system when it comes to that. We're getting a lot of questions. So we have someone who is asking here about he's a refugee claimant. He's trying to take short online courses in hospitality as a career change. And he's paying private college fees, and he's asking, can he be qualified in Ontario's second career program? That's quite interesting, actually, because I know the term second career means something else. It's not an alternative career. It has a different definition. So I think Michelle or Kiley, can you talk about that? Who would like to take that? Or
if no takers, I can.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm not sure. Is someone else speaking to it?
Go ahead. Go ahead. If you can ask a question, go ahead.
So second career is typically for people who are PR or Canadian citizen, and it's typically made for it started when the car industry, where they're GM went out of business and all that. So all those thousands of people were without jobs, and there's no jobs in that same field. So the government would pay money, would pay up to $40,000 or $28,000 for you to to retrain in something else. It has to be something short. And now there is a new kind of guidelines because before they would allow 2 years of studies. This time it's down to 1 year. So what you have to have had a job in Canada for a while, and then you have to have been laid off. And there's really no kind of opportunity for you to find a job in that field that you were in before, and you want to retrain again. So that's really what the second career is for.
Thank you. Michelle, I know we have 5 minutes with you. You have to, you have something else you have to rush off. I want to ask you, in the end, from what the conversation we've been having, does it pay off? I know it's a broad question. It's kind of hard to answer. Does it pay off to invest in a degree? Statistically, intuitively, your experience and how you see this.
Yes. Any additional education, long, short, or otherwise, is always going to pay off, because knowledge is power. And I'm not talking nefarious power. I'm talking knowledge gives you confidence. The more knowledge you have, the more confidence you have. So stack those credentials. Don't worry about it.
Absolutely. And would you say, knowing you, after we've spoken, I would add to that, follow your passions, whatever it is, right? Does it matter what career
100%.
you end up?
100%. 100%. I never could have known. I always had ideas about where I wanted my life to go. I never could have known that I would be sitting in this position today, where I can run not 1, but 2 businesses from my desktop. And I'm completely fulfilled by both businesses. One is my media intelligence coaching services, and the other one is the work that I do around animal rescue. And I am completely happy, and my bills are almost all paid.
Right. Looking at, I'm trying to summarize some of these questions coming in that's related to what we're talking about. And this comes from Diego, who's just asked about, he's into dental hygiene. He's contacted, a couple of colleges, and the private colleges, he's ending up with, $40,000 tuition fees. And he's questioning, is it a good idea to pay that much for a program? I guess, and the good thing is, he said, the good thing is the entry level wage is between $32 and $38 an hour. He can get his diploma in 18 months. So I guess he's weighing out the investment there. And he used to be a CEO in his own company, in his country of origin, and he was in natural gas field. So there you go again, the investment. Is it a good idea? Is it not a good idea? Is there an answer to that? Kiley, I see you raised your hand.
Sorry, I'm just unmuting myself.
Oh.
I saw Miles in one of the questions. Someone had mentioned having the credential, but not being able to get ahead because they don't have the Canadian work experience. And
right.
So one of the things that I wanted to mention is that with graduate certificate programs at colleges, not just at Seneca, almost all of them have a work integrated learning component where you get to work in the Canadian context. Often you get paid for it. And I see that as a great opportunity to network, to meet people, to learn the culture of the industry within the Canadian context. So if that's one of the hurdles that someone is facing, that could be a potential solution.
Yeah, no, thank you for bringing that up. Michelle, I know we have 2 minutes with you, but you said something brilliant when I mentioned Canadian experience of the day, and I want you to say it again to the group. I want your thoughts on that.
Thank you. I think that there is an over-reliance on new immigrants' perception of quote unquote Canadian experience. Yes, Canadian experience is important. There are ways to go out and get small bits of Canadian experience and build them into something large. But please, anyone coming here, your experience from your country of origin, your knowledge, your passion That doesn't get parked at the airport when you arrive. And it really is up to you to not negate your own experience because somebody told you there's a popular myth that you have to have Canadian experience. You don't always have to have Canadian experience. I've gotten lots of people into jobs where they haven't had that. So I wouldn't rely so much on that. And I would just roll up my sleeves and start getting to really know the industry that you want to join in Canada, and then be proud of your background and tell people what your experience and your skills actually are. The sooner they figure out what your skills and knowledge are, the faster they can place you in a job. So tell them.
Beautifully said. That's exactly what I wanted everyone to hear, because it's about believing in yourself and going for it at the end of the day. So thank you so much. I know you have to go. We could stay for hours speaking, but hopefully we'll host you again. Thank you so much. You have yourself a beautiful day. Michelle, we're going to continue. And
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Take care, everybody.
So Nathaly, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add something. Michelle said something about very important about the experience, but I also want to let everybody know that the experience that is needed when you are looking for a job is not only for newcomers. It's not only for permanent residents. It's for everybody. I have a family here who put their kids to do something voluntary, being in organizations, participating in activities, because networking, again, as we mentioned in the beginning, is very important. So this is to find a job So it's this necessity of networking. This is not only for permanent residents or for immigrants, it's for everybody in Canada, because it's a good way to find a job. It's the best way to find a job, networking. So even for Canadians, that's something that they do. They start volunteering since they're in colleges, since always. So because that's the way to find a job in the future. It's the easiest way. Like if you have education, that's great, that's very good, that's important, because everything, right, give you confidence, but it's not only, that's very important. It's not about hard skills. It's not only about your knowledge. It's about your soft skill. So that's something that I really want to mention, is that when we are coming to Canada, we are thinking that, oh, it's just about my knowledge, what I know, my degree, my certificate. That's good, and that's very important, but it's also the capacity to to keep the job. It's not just having the job, pass the interview and get hired. No, it's also the capacity to stay in the job, and that's soft skill. And that's why volunteering is very important. Volunteering or being participating, doing networking in activities, because looks like it's little, it's not worth it, but actually it is. It's going to give you the skills, the transferable skills that you will need to maintain the job. So that's very important, that I think people in this webinar have to keep in mind. It's very important. The soft skills, keep it, right, to maintain the job.
And is it feasible to do both, study as well, especially if you're doing a graduate degree, say you wanted to pursue a master's program, but still work? Is it feasible, or is it very difficult, or maybe a bachelor's? Maybe, I think, Sana, this would be in your area.
So yeah, the answer is absolutely yes. And that's why I keep saying that I wish I knew that 27 years ago when I first came, because, I came and I stayed home for so long because I did not know I could do this, because I wanted to look after my kids. I'll give you Seneca as an example, but go out and find, I'm sure all other colleges and universities have similar thing. So we have a degree program called Interdisciplinary Studies degree. This degree will give you block transfer, credit transfer. So it takes whatever education you've had from back home. It has to be evaluated by WES, and you can come and finish the degree at Seneca part-time, so meaning the classes will be in the evening, in the weekends, and there is no set time. Like we don't tell you have to finish it in 6 months or a year or 2 years or 3 years. You can take your time to finish it, and you can finish it as soon as you want or take a little longer to do it. So absolutely, that's, I think, what makes Canada is a lot more different than any other places, is that fact that you can work and study very easily. I've done it my whole life. I'm still doing it, actually. I'm just finishing my degree myself at Seneca. And I've had full-time job, and I have done accounting diploma before. And right now I'm doing HR and the degree together, because this is another thing about it. The courses, you can kill two birds in one stone. So the courses for the degree apply to the human resources management as well.
That's
So
amazing.
there is
That's amazing.
options. Like really, that's what really people need to
Right.
know. There is tons of options.
Options, focus, determination. You also got to work on it, right? No, thank you. I'm glad you shared that, because it's important to know that it can be done. We have a question. I know we almost out of time, but if you guys don't mind just staying for a few more minutes, but I answer a couple of questions and we'll wrap it up. We have a question from Ambar. She says, I have a bachelor's degree in natural resources and engineering. I have my credential assessment by ICAS, and it is equivalent Bachelor of Science in Ontario. But I do not know what is the next step that I have to take. What is the next step? Does anyone know? Or does she need a one-on-one with someone? Yep, Tana, right?
I'm sorry, I'm
I know you offer
talking a lot, but this is really meet with someone and start meeting with advisors at your colleges, universities, and see what options each one will offer you. And if your credentials has been evaluated with ICAS, I hope you've done it on a course-by-course basis, because there is two different kind of evaluations. They can evaluate the degree as a whole and course-by-course. The course-by-course is the one will allow any college or university to do those credit transfers, to compare the credits and do the credit transfer. So start meeting with advisors and see what each place will can offer you, and then you sit and do some research. Look on Workopolis and Indeed and see what jobs are for those kind of options, and see is that something that you like, and then you make the final decision.
Right. Also, Nathaly, just a second, I'll come to you in a second. I just want to also note that aside, I know we had a session a few weeks ago. Our previous Ask MNLCT session was on bridging programs, and it was specifically on the media and communication. So we at MNLCT, we have a media and communications bridging program. Is quite unique. You don't find anywhere else, because it's condensed, it's free of charge, it's open to newcomers who are in that field. So, and I know there's an intake coming up for sure in May. Sorry, the next classes are in May, the next cohort. So there are info sessions. We just dropped that in the chat room. So take advantage of that. But on that note, there are so many different bridging programs in different fields to explore, and a lot of colleges also host bridging programs in different fields. So look into that. Humber does that as well. You can connect with us. We can let you know. Seneca, I know you do some bridging programs too. So that's very important. If you don't want to go for a full degree, there's also certification programs that I saw on your website, Seneca Downtown, that people can do. And I want to bring in Ling Ling for a second, because Ling Ling, I know you wear many hats as well, but you have something to say about what you do and how we can help people today.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ling Ling. I'm the settlement worker at the Nadon New Life Center, and at those moments, I'm quite busy answering the question on the Q&A, and I found a lot of the people have the situation like looking for the education, but also thinking about the financial situation for the family. So as a settlement worker, we have those information and resources to help you. Like say there's a lot of the financial supports around like OSAP, second career program, micro credential and programs, and some social assistance also provide a certain education support, like financial support. So if you do have those concerns, or if you want to like to know those information, feel free to make an appointment with our settlement team. We are more than happy to help you. And as a settlement worker, we also provide some basic employment support, because we know everyone, if you wanted to look for a job, you needed to have a nice looking resume, cover letter. So we also provide this resume critique, cover letter techniques, like interview tips. So if you need this help, we also provide those services. And for the education, career paths, those information, yeah, we do have professionals here and answer a lot of questions. But just like you know, settlement worker, we also can provide help. So feel free to call us, and we are here to help you. Thank you.
You know, you mentioned something, I wanted to mention it before, and Thana, this is for you, is the micro credential program. How is that different from a normal certification? Because these are short programs per se. Because you now see there's various options. You can go for something that's a quick course. I'm not talking about the small courses that you take for 4 days, but you know, these are like 1 month. Some of them are 8 months. You know, a duration of 8 months if it's a longer program. What is more beneficial? What should someone go get? I mean, would be more credible. Let's say if you're applying for a job, what would look nice on a CV?
So really, again, it goes back to what is needed for that specific person. So just to understand what micro credentials are literally what it is smaller certifications. So smaller certification, they can vary, like you mentioned, from a few hours a workshop, or can be up to 8 months or just under a year. So for instance, like there are micro credentials in taxation. So a person can take taxation, the micro credentials in taxation, and they can be specialized in the taxation. We have micro credentials in IT as well. Like there is a whole list of like programs that are offered and are under the micro credentials. It really all depends on each person and what they need. There isn't one better than the other. They are recognized, you know, by the government, and they do, you know, qualify for the second career. But again, go ahead and speak to some advisors and see what is it that you need, and figure out what will be the better credential for you.
I know as a trend during the pandemic, there's been a surge in people going and taking courses. Training has kind of dropped. People don't want to do training and coaching a lot on Zoom, but you see more people sort of taking these certification courses, like EDX. I'm going to drop that in the chat room, edx.org, where you can take courses for free. But if you want a certification, you pay, I don't know, $100, $200, $300, depending. But it's nothing compared to it's a, you know, it's a fraction of what you would pay for if you were to go to college. But that's something that people are taking, you know, which is what you're talking about too, Thana. I think it's good to invest in that. Even if you want to try, it could be a good thing to try out first, to see if you've been a bit rusty, you've been away from college for a while. It could be something good to pursue, and then carry on. Nathaly, I saw your hand up for a second. I know we've gone overboard, but we'll keep a few more minutes and then we'll wrap it up.
Yes, I just want to mention, because we are saying go for advice, and I think it's very important say like exactly like where, you know. So we need to mention that there is Employment Ontario. There is a huge program called Employment Ontario from the government. It's public, and it has it is in several organizations in Ontario, including you know, YMCA. We also, I mean, we have we have Hopes. Hopes is another. We are partnership with Employment Ontario, and the way to find mentoring, counselors, people who is prepared to give you advice is just go to Employment Ontario, and you will find like a search button where you can put there your postal code, and it will show you where are all the what are the organizations close to your house where you can go and find these employment counselors or employment coaching, employment advisors. So that's something very important, that's where to go. So because exactly it's the same, because all the organizations have it. It's the same program, but in all the nonprofit, and it's for free. It's for permanent residents. It's a free service. So that's one point. And also I want to mention about ELT programs. I don't know if we already talked about this, enhanced language training programs, which is very important for permanent residents because it gives you internships, like give you the networking, the experience. And that's something that you can, that kind of information, you can get it from these employment counselors from Employment Ontario. And yeah, I also want to mention, I already mentioned HOPES. In Mennonite we have that, which is it's a program that we have to give to permanent residents, the Canadian, like to know about the Canadian employment culture, to know how to keep a job, how to maintain a job. So that's another point that I want to talk. And also we were talking about financial supports, and the Ling said that very great point, but also mentioned that in the colleges, maybe Tana can mention that also, they have scholarships, they have what's the name? Yeah, different kind of scholarships, bursaries. Thank you. That when you are in the college, you can register, you can fill out the application, register, and get a lot of financial support from the same college. Many private organizations and public organizations are connected with the colleges to, to provide funding for a student who have really good grades, or student they have different criteria for selection, but that's a really good source also for financial support.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. So we're going to wrap up the show, the program. And I just, for everyone who, who's been monitoring the chat, or someone, maybe you haven't, we have a lot of great resources in the chat throughout. So if you want to copy paste that chat, so you can take away those links. There are links to great resources and of course also our panelists who were present today. You can contact them directly. So I'm going to enter that in again, their contact information in case you missed it, so feel free to copy paste and contact us. Kylie, I know you have you want to give your last words. Well, is there anything else you'd like to, any further advice you would give to our attendees today?
Oh, thank you, Miles. Sorry, I haven't been available. If you hear a screaming baby, I think you've seen him now. Yeah. No, I just want to say, I know it can seem really overwhelming, and there's a lot of information that we've shared. So please just reach out if you have questions, because I know I can speak for myself and Fana that we're happy to help people navigate the Seneca piece of it anyway. And thank you for inviting me to be a part of this.
You are most welcome anytime, Kylie. Thank you for making the time, especially with I know how it is with a baby, and it's a full house. So maybe one day your baby can advise us. So I'm sure they have a lot to say. So good luck. Tana, thank you again for joining us. We really privileged to have you. It's been great. Ling, Zahra, thank you for your support. Nathaly, thank you for all the advice. And again, thanks everyone for being here today. Join us next month. We will be sending you an email on our next Ask MNLCT, which is about our link classes, language instruction. But it's going to be a very interesting one with students who have actually graduated and become now facilitators of that program. But there's more to it than just that, so I'll leave it, and we can talk more about that later. Thank you so much. Feel free to call us, email us, and we will send you any information. And you can also watch this episode because it is recorded. It will be on YouTube. And if you go to askmnlct.org/askmnlct, we'll drop that in the link as well. You can see watch this episode as well as the previous 12 other episodes that we have. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Stay safe. Stay
Thank you
strong.
so much for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Stay passionate, everyone, and pursue your dreams, no matter what, right?
Yes.
Great. All of us. Thank you.